Welcome to the ExPack Podcast, your source for news regarding video games, esports, and everything media. Now, here are your hosts, Jacob and Dalton. What is up, people of the internet? We are back. Episode 6 of the ExPack Podcast. I am Jacob, and as always, I'm with my partner in crime, yeah boy, Dalton. It's Dalton now.
You just had to go there.
Where were you at when this happened?
I was at Arby's, but
Arby's, and they wrote your name. Your name is Dalton,
right?
And they wrote. Which wait, you say your name?
Dalton.
Okay, see, like your accent isn't like enough. Like I can understand a southern accent and it sounding like Dalton. Like
who cares?
Kind
I
of.
live in Texas.
But
everybody talks like this here.
The fact that someone would actually think that your name would be Dalton is.
It wasn't. I don't even think it was that he didn't understand the name. I think he legitimately just couldn't spell. And I don't want to make fun of somebody for that. It's just this happens to me all the time. So when I get a receipt back and look at it, I'm just like, I got dolphin one time. Okay, I want you to think about that. Some old lady asked my name at Wingstop, and I told her, and I said it clearly. I actually tried to fix my accent. I said Dalton, and she put
Dolphin.
Straight up dolphin. Like,
you can never be too careful these days, I guess, with Northwest and Apple and who I don't know what people are naming their kids these days. Sapphire, Genesis,
oh God,
all that jazz. It's always fun. But anyways, so yeah, we are back for the second week in a row, and hey Jesus, how you doing, man? For those of you who don't know, we live stream this every time. Now that I have decent internet, and so our chat is currently being flooded with some very wholesome lyrics by our buddy Jesus.
Decent.
So so this last week we got some new stuff coming up, and that have happened. Obviously, the Super Bowl was this last Sunday. Go ahead.
Yeah, we won, boys! We did.
Yeah. So Dalton is a Broncos fan. They did win. Spoiler, I guess. If you haven't watched it for whatever reason. Yeah. So that was a thing. Madden did predict it wrong.
Yeah.
That's how I'm tying it into video games. We can talk about whatever I want. What am I kidding? So Madden got it wrong. However, the puppies from Jimmy Fallon got it right. So clearly, puppies are more trustworthy than John Madden.
Isn't it funny, like, there was a lot of places that did predictions. I don't remember. I guess it started, maybe 3 years ago? Like, predictions from just, like, everybody became a thing. Like, you don't even have to be credible. You can just, like, put something out, like, I predict this, and everybody
It'll get quoted somewhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it was a good game. It was a very defensive game, and it was fun to watch, and all the hype around it, and the festivities surrounding Super Bowl, commercials and halftime show and all that jazz. It was entertaining.
Do you feel like the commercials were a little lackluster this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I was super hypey about like the X-Men trailer and the Bourne trailer, because I didn't even know they were making another Bourne, so that was super cool. But I think as far as Super Bowl commercials go, like, it wasn't really all that impressive.
It didn't feel like there were a lot of funny ones.
The sheep one we laughed at. That one was funny, because it was like, I feel like so many now are going towards that, like, that Old Spice feel, where it's like just completely random and like nonsense. And some companies do it really well, and some companies just don't as much. And so it's kind of hard to like see that from every company and kind of miss some of those older commercials that were just genuinely funny, or the ones that just had a lot of heart. Like either way, so.
Yeah, my last input on that subject is transforming razors.
That had nothing to do with Transformers.
It had nothing to do with the new Transformers. Like that entire time that commercial was going, I was like,
It's
okay,
like,
so
oh,
it has
Transformers
to do with razors,
promo.
but there's also going to be a Transformers plug at the end.
No.
Just completely
It's
ripped off
just-
Transformers and
The razors, they transformed like Transformers, except they weren't. So that's fun. Alright, well, enough about that. On to esports. We got some stuff going on. The LCS is happening. Team Harem Jutsu is 4-0
okay, all right.
in the fantasy league, so that's a thing.
You know, before this started, that was my long sigh of being pissed off. Because I clicked our fantasy league and I looked and I could have sworn that you were like maybe 3-2 or 3-1 or something. You're 4-0.
Yeah, that's right. 4-0.
With this, where are you? What is
What?
this?
What do you got to say about my team?
What is this team? You got, all right, like none of your point gains are that much higher than mine. How did you predict? Like,
I play it week by week, Pommy.
well, I do too.
Well,
but there's
okay,
no...
wait, real quick for what we're talking about. For those of you who don't know, like fantasy football, there's a fantasy league for the League of Legends championship series, the LCS. There's a lot of league, but so we are in a league. It's there's like 6 of us. It's kind of small, whatever, but it's just for fun. And I have not lost a week. We're 4 weeks in, and I am 4-0. And yeah, I'm just the best. So, have you won yet?
Yeah, I won one.
Oh, okay.
But like y'all, this draft. Let me tell y'all, we're not gonna get too far into this, but
First
this
of all,
draft,
there's one guy in our league that pretty much has all of Immortals and wins every single week, except for this last weekend where I managed to beat him.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that, and then somehow, like, I've said it before on other podcasts. I've always been a CLG fan. I'm still a CLG fan, not quite as much because of a lot of the players they lost, but somehow during this draft, all the high point gainers that were left every time it came around, every single time it came around, CLG. I have Huhi, I have Darshan, I have the Counter Logic team, I have Stixay, I have Aframu, and who's that leave? Who am I not?
Your jungler.
Jungler, right? Smithy. It's the only one I don't have, and I'm not picking him up, even though he's been doing actually pretty well, just purely off of principle.
You have you have a decent jungler though, don't you?
Yeah, I have Rush. Well,
right, and I mean it's kind of off and on, but he's been doing pretty decent. But yeah, I've just played it where at the beginning I picked up Sven and I was like super stoked for his season, and then that just didn't work out. I had Forgiven for a little bit, so that helped me out in those weeks. And then I just have this kind of mosh posh like EU and some NA, and then I have Immortals as my team, which helps because they get a lot of sub 30-minute wins, so that helps a lot. But yeah, all that to say, fantasy LCS is fun, and it's a fun way to get more invested in the games themselves. Like I already really like paying attention to the professional scene for League, just because it's kind of entertaining and I like how the game works and seeing how to play it better. But having like more of an investment in it and like a reason to kind of watch the games and cheer for, even like, because I'm a TSM fan, but for having other people than TSM to cheer for, like, oh, I really want this player to do well, like, just kind of, it's just kind of cool.
Makes you pay attention to other teams that normally maybe
Right.
you wouldn't care about as much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, all that to say, we're 4 weeks into the LCS, and Immortals is still undefeated. So in NA, we have Immortals in first, obviously, at 8-0. In second, we have a 4-way tie between Counter Logic Gaming, Energy Esports, Cloud9, and TSM, and they're all 5-3, which is a pretty good record. And then at 6th, we have Liquid at 4-4. We have 2 teams tied for 7th, Impulse and Dig both 3 and 5, and then we have Renegades and Echo Fox at 1 and 7. So this is pretty much rounding out to what we've predicted. I mean, last week we were talking about Immortals Energy probably at the top, and then CLG, C9, and TSM. Although I think Liquid is going to be up there too, because they've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm still a little surprised at how poorly TSM is playing, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not happy about it, but
they won, but this was their easy week, and they didn't really make it look easy. I mean,
yeah, they struggled on Saturday. But yeah, so I don't think we're even halfway through yet, are we? I don't know. I don't even remember.
Yeah. I mean, it's 9, so.
Yeah, we're about halfway through, so yeah, so we're getting there, and I think once it gets closer to the playoffs section is when we're going to be seeing probably a lot more game changers as far as individual play and shot calling and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then in EU, we have G2 and H2K tied for first, both at 7 and 1. And we have Unicorns of Love in third at 6 and 2. And then we have Fnatic and Vitality actually tied for fourth, both at 5 and 3. And then in 6th, we have Origin at 4 and 4. Elements is in 7th at 3 and 5. And then we have Spice, Roccat, and Giants. Giants are 0 and 8. So that is unfortunate. So I think the biggest one here is that Origin is not doing very well, and that Vitality is, as far as scoreline goes. But I think it can kind of go whatever way. You like G2, H2K, and Unicorns, I think, are going to be the top 3. But Fnatic did just make a switch. They just dropped Noxiac to bring in a rookie to the LCS. I'm gonna butcher it no matter what way I say it. But what did you say it was?
It's either Claback or it's
Clayback, I don't know.
Clay,
no, I'm just
Clay
gonna say
Bake.
that one. Anyways,
Of course, it has an accent on it, so either way we butcher it. It doesn't
something,
matter.
and I haven't heard it said, so I don't know how it's said. So who knows? Maybe that will make a change. Having a change in the lineup can always obviously go one way or the other, good or bad. So it should be pretty interesting to see how the synergy continues, because they haven't been doing bad. They just haven't been performing as well as most people would expect out of Fnatic. Also in esports, we have TSM just picked up a Call of Duty team. They were under a different organization. I don't remember what it was. And that was to go into this international tournament that's going on right now. Actually, I think that they were just playing not too long ago, but it's pretty cool for them that they're getting their hands on more games than just League and Counter-Strike, because they did just pick up a new Counter-Strike roster. We talked about that last week. And then they do have a Smite roster as well. They've never had a Dota one though. So I wonder if that would be in their future. I don't know.
I was just about to say that's kind of odd to pick Smite over.
Yeah, but I feel like Smite might be easier to find a team to pick up just because like it is smaller, so you would probably be able to get a team for cheaper. You know what I mean? Like if you're
less of an investment.
Yeah, for the branding. So, but anyways, we also have Yahoo is apparently launching an esports news section, which is pretty cool.
Interesting.
I don't know how many people actually read Yahoo, but it is. I don't know what the demographic is or whatever, but it is definitely still one of the top visited news sites and search engines. Like obviously it's still a functioning thing, unlike AOL. So it is kind of cool to see like this kind of spread into that, and we recently saw Twitter gaming come into the scene where they now verify professional gamers, streamers, YouTubers, stuff like that, which is really cool. And we also see just the Twitter itself promoting different things like that. And then we also have ESPN's esports section, and they're promoting that a lot and getting more stories on there and everything like that. And so it's just kind of cool seeing this esports reach just continue to branch out and become more of a substantial thing. So
yeah.
We can bring back you hooligans, Jesus. I think that's just for you.
I think we should.
Because I think you're probably the only person that would want that, but no, I'm just kidding. We also have Overwatch, which we're going to talk about later, but Envious did pick up the top team for Overwatch currently. I'm not really sure how much that really means right now, but from the competitive things that have gone on, they've picked up what is considered the top team right now. Kind of interesting, like, because Envious hasn't, like, they've just been known for the Counter-Strike, and they're like,
yeah,
they've been a top team in Counter-Strike for a while, but not, I mean, well, actually not that long. They're only like, what, a year
like
old?
a year.
Yeah,
I think like a year.
So, but since they started, like, they were pretty good, and then now it's kind of up in the air. So maybe they want to kind of branch out and see what's going on with Overwatch, which we don't really know what's going on in the competitive scene. Like, we don't really, like, I don't think ESL has said anything. I don't think MLG has said anything. But I think it'll be kind of cool to see how that shapes up.
I think it's safe to assume either way, because every other Blizzard game ends up.
Yeah.
I mean, when Hearthstone came out, it got picked up pretty quick.
Right. So I think that'll be pretty cool to see, and we'll talk more about Overwatch later. But we also have Remy, who's the first female in the LCS. She did step down this last week after week 4, and it was basically coming from her. It was due to anxiety and kind of the aspects of being on stage and like confidence and stuff like that coming into it, which is pretty understandable for anyone coming into the scene. And then but I don't know, I feel like it probably was extra difficult for her, because obviously there's a lot of expectation if you're the first female in the LCS kind of thing. So it is kind of unfortunate. Like, I didn't think she was a bad player at all. I didn't think that she was the problem with Renegades. It's kind of unfortunate to see that she might be getting, like, the blame for it at any point. So whatever. But at the end of the day, it's her choice, so she has to do what's best for her, right? So
that team has plenty of problems besides their support.
Correct.
No offense to any Renegades fans.
Right. Which, I mean, I don't dislike them, so it's okay. So I think that's pretty much it for esports. Like you said, we're going to be probably, I don't know, I feel like these next few weeks are going to be really interesting for LCS, because a lot of the top teams are playing each other, especially in EU. Like H2K, G2, and Unicorns of Love, like, they all play each other, I think, this weekend. And stuff like that, so we'll see how that shapes up, and we'll talk about that next week probably. But apart from that, we just have some general gaming news, and we have the official release date for Doom, May 13th. So not all that long, and yeah, super stoked for that. It's gonna be really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, they just released some more. It was a gameplay trailer, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot. I mean,
Kind
the
of.
gameplay trailer they released was a lot of, or at least to me, from what I saw, it felt like it was a lot of reused scenes from the E3 thing.
Okay.
But have you watched, like, any of the Doom trailers? Like, not like, I think all of them. They all had the theme song from the first level of Doom.
Right.
But it's like a new version of it, obviously, because that old one was like played on a MIDI keyboard, and you know. But oh my god, the sounds in that game, like, coming, you know, as a sound guy, like, so good.
Yeah.
Every single time that he like doesn't execute or something, the crunch and everything just sounds amazing, and the music
Yeah.
behind it's great too. So I like that they kind of went back to because they had a version of this Doom before that they scrapped. Like they had a completely other game, and literally all the press release stuff they had about it was they scrapped it because it was too much like Call of Duty. That's what they said. So I think there was some footage from like the old version that leaked or something, and it didn't really show much, but you can definitely tell a difference. Like this looks like what would happen if you took the original Doom and just added a little new flavor to it. Like it's still the same super fast paced, like, there's no aiming down sights and nothing like that. Like I'm ready for just a mindless,
yeah, and that's what I think
shooter.
is good, because like even I remember well, first of all, I remember playing Doom in our school library at lunch every single day. We all had a copy of it. We had that and Unreal Tournament. We had the copies on a flash drive, and we would just, if anybody wanted to come play during lunch, we would take over the entire library computers, and just, if anyone wanted it, okay, here's a flash drive, and just jam on it. So...
God.
Oh gosh. So that's definitely got the nostalgic aspect, but then I also remember not even that long ago playing Doom on, like, the original Doom, playing it with my cousin on Xbox Live, because they re-released it there, and it's still like I can still play that game. So seeing this and have it not being like a completely new game, like, it is obviously a completely new game, and it's new, and a new engine, and it's prettier, and it's probably just quality through the roof, but it's still gonna hold that same like feel that the old one did. And I think the closest thing that we had to that was probably the Duke Nukem, which was nowhere near the old game.
Yeah.
Because that one was, I don't know, that one was just, that one it flopped. It's flopped. If that makes any sense. Like, I don't even think that they made any money on that game, to be honest. Yeah. But, yeah, I think the last new generation game that I enjoyed like that was Bionic Commando.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that game, and I don't think very many people did, but holy crap. I've played that game probably like 5 or 6 times, and I even liked the multiplayer, even though nobody played it. But so yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see this iteration of Doom, and hopefully we can have some good times with it. So yeah, that'll be exciting. Coming a lot sooner than that is going to be the Division Open Beta on the 19th, confirmed. PC and PS4 on the 19th, and Xbox on the 18th for whatever reason. But yeah, so I think last week we talked about it, but I don't think it was technically confirmed. So now, for sure, the 19th, so that's 10 days from now. And yeah, we're going to get our hands on it, and I'm going to play it probably a lot while I can, just because, I don't know. I feel like a lot of time with betas, I like play it, and then I'm like, oh, I'll play this later, and then I forget to. So this is probably one that I want to actually sink some time into, and try and get to the point where the gear actually matters, because I feel like that's when it starts to get really fun. So yeah, that'll be that's definitely what I'm planning on. As far as betas go, we also had today the Overwatch beta, like we were saying. The closed beta did the closed beta is still closed, but it did start back up again today, with a big update that includes 2 new maps for the new mode called Control, and it's essentially like a King of the Hill type slash headquarters type, like headquarters if you play Call of Duty. It's basically King of the Hill, but so where you hold an objective and then it adds to your time, and then whoever has the most time on the objective by the end of the map wins. So that's pretty cool. They also added playing versus AI, which is nice, I guess. And then the biggest thing though is that they added player progression. So if you play games like League of Legends and stuff like that, where you get your account basically has gains experience and levels up. They added that, and then they also added loot boxes, similar to things like Counter-Strike, and actually what they're planning on doing with League, and then also with Dota has a similar system. And so basically you get a loot box, and it has how many things? It has 4 items in it. So you can get, like, they have different rarities, obviously, like the colors that correspond with the same Warcraft colors. And then you can get skins, icons, emotes, sprays, if you think to, like, Team Fortress, voice lines, victory poses, and highlight intros. So it's pretty cool. It's not like only skins, which I think is the cool part, is that you can get other stuff from it. Although a lot of the skins look really, really cool. Like really cool. Like, not just color changes, but like legitimate aesthetic changes. Like the Reinhardt one and the Hanzo. I think the Hanzo one is my favorite. It kind of looks like Udyr, but and then this also added a like a hero gallery where you can go in and you can customize your heroes and equip the emotes and the skins and all that different stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed Blizzard does a really good job with that. Like, I'm not a really big fan of HOTS. I play every once in a while.
Right.
Heroes of the Storm. But I did really like, the skins they come out with. They look good. And they have extra stuff like the mounts and, the icons and everything else. Blizzard, they're on top of that.
Yeah, they definitely, I mean, they come from this, obviously, like, the MMO, like, where that's where transmogging began, probably, was World of Warcraft, where, like, aesthetically, like, that's probably one of the first MMOs where big time, like, hey, with these new raids, you can get these new skins that you can make your character look even better.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the time in other MMOs, that even nowadays that you play, it's just whatever you pick up, so like the next tier, that's what you're gonna look like, so you can either look forward to it or not. Like, kind of depends on what it looks like.
It just keeps everybody from looking the same too.
Right, yeah. Customization is really good, and obviously they understand that, so that's pretty cool. Also, we got the official details for the Metal Gear Solid expansion.
Okay,
they're calling it an expansion. It's small bits of DLC that is kind of cool. It's called Cloaked in Silence. I guess that they actually technically announced it last month, but now we have the official names and prices as well. So they added, now you can actually play as Quiet. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess you decide. But they also added new maps, Coral Complex, which is a new Mother Base environment, Rust Palace, and Azure Mountain. And then they also added the Appeal Action feature, which is basically like emotes for the characters. And those are in packs for $2 each. So I feel like that's probably the silly part of this DLC. And then the actual DLC is $4. So it's not like anything like a big investment.
It's priced okay for what it is. It's just kind of dumb they even use the word expansion.
Yeah. I was definitely expecting a lot more when I read that it was an expansion.
It is only for the Metal Gear Online part, which, I mean,
right.
To be completely honest, and part of this is just opinion, but it's pretty trash. So it's got a lot of good things going for it, and it's just one of those things where it just feels like the company doesn't support it properly.
Right.
Like, I mean, good things about Metal Gear Online, the maps were actually pretty fun. The game feels great because it's the same engine as the single player, which is amazing. And it's I don't want to say the customization is good because it started out looking really good, but now it's kind of meh. Yeah. But there's just the balancing issues, lag issues. It's just That's why I don't remember when it was, but one of our other podcasts we talked about, I was surprised that MGO was going or being picked up by MLG, I think it was. They're having a tournament for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess it's just it just feels so broken. Like it's just not. It has everything it needs to be a good game, and they really need to do a lot of work on it. So it's kind of weird that they're just like randomly releasing things for it. And the other thing is the quiet character thing. Like it sounds cool because in the single player, you know, quiet can do a lot of really cool stuff. She can teleport around, blah blah blah. But a game that's already imbalanced, the way the heroes work is when you're playing a match, each team gets, like, before there were only two characters. It was Snake and Ocelot, and each team got one of them, right? So you had one player on your team that was Snake or Ocelot, and they had custom weapon loadouts, and they had skills that they could use, and blah blah blah, which is basically just, that's what this quiet thing is.
Right.
But it's not like in a multiplayer game, like when you're playing with a group of, you know, 5 or 8 people on each team, who's like super pumped just to get the character, you know what I mean? Like it feels weird, you know? It would be like, I guess an example would be like if you had like Rainbow Six Siege and everybody was playing the little default dude, and then each team could pick one of the classes.
The actual specialists, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what?
So it's not quite like on the level of like Star Wars Battlefront, where like you get the Darth Vader or whatever, and they just kind of go around wrecking everyone.
It's kind of like that, I guess, but they just don't feel as impactful. Like, because I mean, they still die, you know, fairly easy and everything. But that was part of the balancing thing. Like, what people wanted from MGO was just a strategic, slow, third-person, you know, like competitive shooter.
Right.
That's what everybody wanted. And now it's like they're just kind of like throwing out all these little tricks and things at you, like, ooh, you can play as quiet, and it's supposed to make everybody go whoo, but really everybody's like, okay, can we have some fixes first, maybe?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's why people are upset about it. It's not so much the pricing, it's not the fact that they're getting new content that's not like, you know, the most amazing thing ever. It's that it's just unnecessary at this point in the game's life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I guess I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of these games now, like they kind of go for this gimmicky approach to DLC, and they just kind of try and toss out whatever they can that it kind of takes the least amount of effort from them.
Yeah.
And then they try and make some extra money, you know.
Well, I feel like if anything, it's just leftover content that they didn't put in the game.
Right. Or maybe that would have taken them an extra month or so, but they decided to put it as DLC.
Which again, the pricing, like I understand charging for it, like it's not that big of a deal. It's just, you know, make the game work first.
Yeah.
Or get it some identity, I guess. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it, because I love Metal Gear games, and I did enjoy playing this one because the single player was so good, but you know, Konami's kind of right now.
Yep. Well, I guess they just need to pay attention to the feedback and see what the game, like what the fan base really thinks that the game needs, instead of just kind of what they want to throw out. Which people may buy the heck out of those emotes. Who knows?
Yeah.
Definitely possible.
I'm sure they'll still make a decent amount of money off of it.
Yeah. But I think that is it. Didn't have a whole lot this week. But yeah, I think. Yeah. Speaking of single player, though, I started Alien Isolation last night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. Terrifying.
Yeah, you're like I said, it's all downhill from here.
It's terrifying, and I don't know if I'm excited to play more or not. I am, but I'm not. It's a gorgeous game. The sound, like the visuals, the story, the like voice acting, everything, like it's gorgeous.
Yep.
And consequently, it is terrifying. because they do such a good job.
Yeah, to me, what I really liked about that game, which is the same thing I hated about that game, was unlike a lot of other scary games, it has the ability to almost, like, if it's the first time you've played it, so you don't know what to expect, it keeps you on your toes and stressed out almost the entire time.
Yeah,
because of the sound, the lighting. Like,
before I had ever seen the alien, I was like literally crouch walking the entire time, like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna, like, I was terrified. But yeah, so I'm gonna be playing more of that and live streaming that on my Twitch channel as well. So if you want to watch me, I might end up crying myself at some point. Or
it's great fun. Everybody should come watch him.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to, if you do want to know anything about my live streams or YouTube, anything like that, you can follow me on Twitter. I always post on there. My Twitter handle is Spiffyish Games, and then you can also just follow my Twitch, twitch.com/Spiffyish. Dalton's Twitch is twitch.com/DamianBjorn, and then my YouTube is also Spiffyish Games. So yeah, and then you can also subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Just search the ExPack Podcast, and you'll be able to find it. Cool. All right, so that's it for this week of the ExPack Podcast. Thank you for listening, if you did, or watching, if you did that. And yeah, find out next week if we get to play Overwatch at all.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.
Say